Greetings and welcome to the Greatness Factor podcast, hosted by author, speaker, and property consultant Tinashe C Mudanda. On this podcast, we'll be focusing on the ideas that can help you maximize and unlock the personal potential that is within to become the greatest version of yourself. So sit back and relax and enjoy our content as we delve into the Greatness Factor. Stay blessed.
With me today, the man that I have doesn't necessarily need a lot of introductions. Some know him as pastor, some know him as a media personality and brand influencer. Others know him as the image doctor. I personally call him the man with $1 million smile.
Thank you, man.
Welcome, Pastor Jefferson.
It's a pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good. So I just want to start off with by telling you a few stories.
Okay.
That will direct the discussion and that will sort of direct the discussion.
Right.
So last week, as I was walking in the CBD, I happened to pass by a police scene.
Okay.
Where there was a dead body. And it was a man who had died.
Okay.
So out of interest, I asked people who were around what had happened, and they told me that this man had died from alcohol abuse. And he had been drinking since last night and then died in the morning.
Yes.
My understanding is that alcohol abuse and drug abuse are not necessarily the problem.
Right.
But they are symptoms of the problem.
There's a root, right?
Okay. Then the second story is about a prison guard, I think, in Karoi, who committed suicide after the wife who he had taken to school came back and told him that we are no longer at my level.
Yeah.
These are two different stories that happened in two different times, but the common denominator is that men are affected, and it's sort of points to that men are under attack in the modern society. Right. Over the past several years, there were a plethora of stories of men killing themselves, committing suicide. There was the Zimex dealer. There was a man who was a bodybuilder who also killed himself.
Right.
There was a young man who jumped off the Tanganyika building. A lot of stories.
Even past the Parkade building.
Yeah.
So,
what are your thoughts over these issues, over these stories that I've just told you?
Yeah, these are stories I'm also familiar with. It's very sad what is actually transpiring when it comes to men. If we're talking about today's man and the issues that he's facing, and how much there is a need or an outcry for men to get help. The unfortunate thing that is very sad is that there are no systems at the moment that are actually giving this particular platform for men to be able to express themselves, because naturally, the stigma is that if a man is going through something, he has to be strong enough to handle it. He's not allowed to probably express himself, to express his emotion, like we're taught to grow. As we grow up, you're not supposed to cry. That's being a man. So all these conceptions that are very wrong, I feel they have built a very bad foundation into the generation that we are currently, where now men, as much as they go through situations, they don't know where to go. They don't know what to talk to, even their friends. They can't even talk to their own friends because they probably say, yeah, you see. So I think I happen to be one of those men who've gone through this. So this topic very much is of great importance to me, because I used to be one of those men who used to think when a man kills himself, he's very weak. But having gone through certain things in my life, I then had an understanding of saying, no, that is wrong. Because you literally get to understand that, I'm now there.
I could be one of those
men. I could be on the stats for what's exactly is happening. But you end up realizing, if you don't talk to someone, you will lose it. I think I'm going to, probably is the first time I'm really opening up about certain things that have happened to me personally. So this is for me a very big podcast that we're doing, and I feel the need to open up also will help someone to know how to handle it. Because literally, I was actually losing my mind.
For real?
Yeah. I got to say, I was actually losing my mind. Because literally what would happen is I would walk in town and start to process what I'm going through. And emotions would build up. And I'd almost want to drop a tear whilst walking in town. So the only way I could hold it in was to take my phone and pretend to be talking to someone.
As you are deliberating about whatever you are thinking
in my mind, yeah. So I'll literally just start talking on the phone with no one.
Wow.
Yeah, just to pretend, just to try and hold the emotion inside. So I did this for a couple of months till I realized it's becoming normal to me to do it.
To talk on the phone.
To talk on the phone when there's no one on the other side. And when I will take pictures, people would actually say, you're smiling, but your eyes are revealing something else.
Hey!
You're not the same person.
And you have $1 million smile.
And it couldn't cover up. It couldn't cover up. Honestly, it couldn't cover up. I think probably for the sake of this podcast, I'll give you one of the pictures to just show it. No. Just so that I think people will actually see what I'm saying. I had not even seen it myself, but when people start to say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a point. So until a friend actually said, you know what, Jeff, you need help. I'm going to pay for a therapist for you. Just go to this person and go through therapy. I went through therapy for some few months, and I managed to open up because this therapist really helped me, and he said, you know what, it's okay to cry in this session. It's okay to express yourself. I know you've probably just been holding it in, but you just need to release it. And it gave me an opportunity to be in a space where I felt comfortable, where I felt someone was listening. There was an open ear, where I felt someone was not judging me. Someone was not looking at me and saying, you're not man enough. So I was able to really pour out and say everything, to even to someone who I knew would not tell another person. Yeah. Because also that's the fear to say, if I talk to you about my problem, you're going to say, yeah. So I can say that's how I managed to be able to get to a point where I was actually not going to end up killing myself, because I did have those tendencies. I thought about it so many times.
This thought, I actually think everyone gets to a point where they start thinking that killing themselves is easier than going through what they're going through. Yeah. I'm sure everyone goes through that experience. I myself, I have had points do not But what I like about the story that you've just shared is that there seems to be an element of support structure.
Right.
A friend then said, my friend, you have an issue. Yeah. I think you need to go ahead.
Right.
What can you say about how can you build that support structure? Because of course, if you have friends, like you were saying, if you're friends, they will tend to judge you. They will not. They'll shut you down and say, "I know you should be strong, but I'm going through stuff, and I need an outlet." Yeah. So how was it intentional? Did you intentionally create this community, or was just a person who was just there at the right time?
To be honest, I cannot say I intentionally did, because I was also afraid. To say, if I start talking about this, and it comes out there, and you're a known figure and so forth, people are probably going to start judging you, start thinking, okay, fine, you're the problem. You're probably the problem. How can that person be the problem? So of course, in this, it's not about who's the problem, but it's about, you're talking about how did I manage to then get to a point where I can actually get help. So I'll be honest with you, it's grace for me. That's how I can put it. But it cannot be practical for everyone to say that they can understand what grace is. If I put it in that, I think if I say it like that, I probably will not help someone. But what I did is I had a place where I knew if I would go and still cry, no one would know why I'm crying. And that was in the house of God for me. So being a Christian, even being a pastor, I never stopped going to church one Sunday.
Going through all that.
No, I didn't miss one service. And the times I would stand in front and you'd see the congregation, you know, they know what's going on and they're looking at you and thinking, is he okay? and you know, you're trying to
be strong.
To be strong in front of them, and they're really trying to be strong for you too, and thinking, but you know, you're going through stuff. How are you doing this? You know, and
you should be home.
You should be home.
It's fine. We understand.
Yeah. You know, we can deal with things for now. You know, you need time. But to be honest with you, that's what got me through. Because every time I would be in the presence of God, I would literally be able to just cry to Him and say, you know what, I need you. I don't have anyone. But I need you. I know of a young man who went through drug addiction, and he went through the process of rehab, but he wasn't taking the pills. He always found a way to throw away the pills. And he said to himself, I want God to take me out of this. I've heard God can do it. I want Him to do it. So he would read the Bible every day whilst in rehab. He would pray, and somehow the addiction went.
God intervened.
The doctors actually said his mental state was at a level where they didn't think he could actually come back and be normal again. So for him to then still have the opportunity to realize, you know what, I think that little gap he had to just say, I need God. That moment of being normal, of normalcy, that he just had to just say, you know, God intervene. God actually did intervene.
God came and showed up.
God showed up. He went through my mentorship class, you know, after being able to go through that, and he was sharing that story with me. And he was saying, you know, I still need help because I still have some tendencies of feeling like I want to go back. But, you know, when we went through that mentorship class, I realized in life there's actually there's no person who's actually bad. But there are people who do not have opportunities. Either opportunities to have a family, opportunities to have someone that can love them, or someone that can give wisdom to them, opportunities to even be educated. You know, so there's a lot of reasons, like what you're saying as we started this discussion, to say there's always the root to the problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's definitely an issue of lack somewhere. So if it's a relationship, they are married, they are dating someone, but still there's that lack of love. There's that lack of being accepted as you are. Because right now, the current state of relationships or marriages is, if you are not able to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things, you are not a man. You know, so a man is now thinking, should I rob the bank? And he's thinking, you know, I want to remain straightforward. But at the end of the day, if I don't do something, I'm being judged. So you find some men saying, you know what, if I can have you, no one will. He kills himself, kills the person, kills himself.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So I really feel there's a lot of support systems for women.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm not being feminist or anything, but at the same time, the ladies also are not appreciating that same man who doesn't have the support system that you have needs you. So I think even if you look at the rate of divorce right now,
it's crazy.
And it's mainly also because of that. Look at how many women's organizations are there now, but how many men's organizations do we have where men can go and freely express themselves
without judgment?
It's rare.
For women, it's so simple to the extent that they can go marine.
Exactly.
Yeah. But for men, I don't know what has caused our society to not allow men to even open up to each other. I remember there was a time where I had a very serious relationship that I was in, and things didn't go well. Okay. So we ended up just going our separate ways. But as we separated ways, I failed to find the space or the people who I can talk about what I was going through. And I had to deal with it myself.
Right.
And I thank God that I was strong enough to go through it. But I can imagine some people are not as strong as that. Some people will kill themselves.
That's true.
So I totally agree with what you were saying. What can be done to create these spaces for men? What do you think we can do as of course, this conversation, it starts by having this kind of conversation so that people are aware. But what are other practical steps that we can take?
I think if we have a few bold men, that's a good name for an organization. If we actually have a few bold men who will say, you know what, we're coming out.
Okay.
We're going to share our story. Because it is the connection or attachment to the past that actually hinders one to progress into the future. So a lot of us, we are so much attached to the past rather than looking ahead to the future. So if I've gone through something, I'm probably going to hang on to it, even though other things seem like they're happening, but at the back of my head. So you're like, but this man, he had a lot of money, he was successful.
But that's what
why would he kill himself? But he's connected to his past. So there's no bridge where we're having these issues dealt with, and that same person can cross over to a place of freedom. So we're having a lot of men that are walking, but they're in prison, mental prisons, where unfortunately the mind, it's supposed to be a place where a lot of creative things are supposed to happen.
True.
A lot of things are supposed to be given birth to.
True.
But the men now, that's why you find a lot in this current day, women are probably doing much better than men.
For real.
It's because now there's no appreciation for what the man is doing or how much he's trying so hard. So even if he's trying hard, and if it's not good enough, then you're not good enough. I think it's a testimony to the example you're talking about, the prison guard who ended up losing his wife because of graduation.
Yeah.
She doesn't even have a job yet.
Yes. But already
she feels you are not at my level. You understand? But he's the same person who paid for the school fees or for the tertiary fees. So you wonder, how then can we get to a point? So I really feel a few bold men need to come up and stand and say, you know what, this is my story. If it means we have a nationwide outreach to say, you know what, if you're a man and you're out there and you want to share your story, let's talk. Let's give other men the boldness to say, you know what, I'm here to talk about my issue. I actually started an organization called Men on Call International during COVID time.
Okay.
When a lot of men were actually committing suicide. And I did a conference during that time, which I thank God that it managed to help a lot of men. But at the same time, it's not addressing the issue completely because this is a once-off thing. But we need things that are consistent. Because we only mention issues to do with helping men when one has killed themselves or there's tragedy that is struck. But we are not having anything that's consistent in terms of actually addressing the problem. So I would say churches, right, for example, need to come to a point where they realize, you know what, even in the church system, we need to create these platforms for men. Have a men's fellowship that is not only dealing with the spiritual aspect, because at times we're just focusing on the spiritual aspect. We're focusing on how much are you giving to the church? Yeah, but are you dealing with these issues?
Yeah.
So even the church needs to pay attention to this because this is a serious issue. True. Otherwise, we're going to have a church without men.
You know what you just said is really important.
Yeah.
Because I was also thinking about, you look at the youth. You look at, it's rare for you to walk in a neighborhood and see a bunch of young ladies sitting by bridge.
Yeah.
You always see men.
Exactly.
And that's the future.
Yeah.
That's the future. And in my own mind, I always think that next 10, 20 years, we are going to have a bunch of useless men. Yeah. And it's not because of it's not something that we are conscious of. But that's the outcome. Because already now You are seeing even young men not taking responsibility for kumitisa. Young men are not showing up, even for young husbands are not showing up for their families.
Right.
And I feel like it was not so done. Men used to take pride in being there for the family, in being the protector of the family. But at the rate that we are moving, and the accessibility of drugs, I just feel like it's an agent.
Yeah.
What you are saying needs to be done agent.
Very true.
Because we are just going to end up with men who have just given up.
Yeah. Yeah. I also feel probably, the fact that we are beaming this on social media, and maybe the companies are watching this and so forth. I really feel these companies also need, or institutions, or maybe embassies, I don't know, whoever it is out there who's looking to give back to the community, they need to look at men as well and say, you know what, because everything right now is looking at women.
Sure.
Yeah. So if you look at, I remember I was in a meeting one day at one of these big financial institutions, and they were saying, okay, we love your concept. This was a concept for men. But right now in our system, we've only got a platform for women. So we are financing women's events. So unfortunately, we cannot finance your event.
Wow.
Because we feel it has got no return for us. So it's more like even companies and institutions have become so selfish that they are more concerned about only what they can get and not what they can give. It's the same man in that family is set up that is working so hard even to make sure that same woman goes and invests back to them.
True.
That decision is made with the men involved. But at the end of the day, when it comes to now building the men, like you're saying, in the next 10 years or more, or even less, we might probably be saying, you know what, we don't have any productive men around. Yeah. So I feel one of the key things that a lot of men are failing to get is the understanding of how to discover themselves. This is one of the things that I speak strongly about, because I really feel that self-discovery is a tool that's very essential for men, because you cannot love yourself enough if you cannot have the desire to find out who you are. So self-discovery begins with love, self-love. Now, you will find that as men, we are busy trying to see how to take care of the family, how to put this in place, how to do this and that. But we are never having an opportunity to actually love ourselves. To actually find out, so what do I actually like to do?
What hobbies can I
involve myself? I'm actually probably going out because this is what the missus likes to do.
But what about
for me? She's never considering that this is what my man also wants to do. So it's more about but baby, you're not taking me out these days. We're not going for vacation. Okay, so where do you want to go? I want to go there and there. Where do you want to go and eat? I want to go in. So it's never about also what the man wants. That's also another good what the man wants. So
I see.
So at the end of the day, if we are not also putting into consideration what does the man want, what also gives him inner peace and joy, what also makes him feel I'm breathing, I'm not suffocated, I'm not just doing this for the sake of her, the kids, and everybody else, the extended family. I'm probably being judged because I'm left out. And I'm left out. No one is really looking at me. And at the end of the day, after I've done all this, I'm still getting criticism. There's no appreciation.
Well, you're failing this. They will look.
This time you didn't do it. So your man is failing.
So how can women and children show up for the men in their lives? You have said something that's really important. I think this is the job of the extended family, of the wife, of the children, and whoever else is dependent on the man.
Right.
To bring this, to allow the man to also experience some self-love, or to help him direct himself to love himself. So how can women and children show up in this way?
I really feel, I think one of the words I mentioned was appreciation. It doesn't have to be so complicated. You find kids of today will probably say, no, I don't like those shoes. they're not as good as my friend's shoes. I don't like that phone. It's not an iPhone. Baby, okay, I bought you a new phone. It's away. No. Other girls have better phone.
Pro Max.
Yeah, so the demand on the man is so great that he's spending most of his time working to satisfy the needs of people that are so entitled or feel entitled that he must do it. So it must not be at that level where the kids have entitlement and the wife has entitlement. And even when the kids are complaining, the wife is coming to me and saying, no, we can do better for the kids. And you're thinking, this is not balancing. I'm trying so hard. I'm trying to do the best that I can do. But at the end of the day, it's always being considered it's not good enough because there is comparison. So appreciation, stop comparing. Right? If you're in a family, be the family. It's about us. We're not worried about. Teach your kids. When you go to school, it's not about what they have. It's about what we have. It's about what we can have. And let's be happy with what we can have. Let's grow knowing if we want better things, we work for them. If my dad is not able to buy this and that for me, I have to appreciate what he's able to do for me now, so that I can work so hard to be able to do better and even do things for him that he couldn't do for me. But what he did was the best. So imagine your child coming to you and saying, Dad, you're the best. You're amazing. I've seen at school, what is happening with other kids and stuff. But you know what? I see your effort, Dad. You're amazing. I have got a 6-year-old daughter. She's that one is brilliant. So she comes up to me one day and she calls a brother and a sister and says, okay, let's hug Dad.
That's beautiful.
And then she hugs me, she kisses me and says, Dad, I love you. Then the little brother comes, hugs me, kisses me, Dad, I love you. And then the little one, and so I was almost in tears because that moment for me was, I didn't tell her to do it. No one actually told her to say, go do this to your dad. But she thought of it and said, you know what, let's love our dad. Let's just hug him. She knew it from somewhere that I actually needed the hug on that day. I don't know how. But to be honest with you, it did a lot for me to have an understanding that I've got someone as young and as little as they are. But today I've healed because of a young girl. Yeah, so appreciation and stop comparing.
Okay. You said sorry, there's a lot of things that I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me start with this.
Yeah.
I feel like relationships for young men are very challenging nowadays because they have an aspect of also comparison in the sense that a young man might not have all his stuff figured out, but there's also an older man who has everything. And you find the young man is competing
with the older man.
And I honestly feel like some of these problems that we also face are not only because of feminism, the world changing and embracing women more than it used to be, but it's also internal problems, men causing problems for other men. I don't know how this can be remedied, and what are your thoughts about what I've just said?
Now, that's why we need these platforms where we are coming together as men. And when we say men, it's not just married men. Even these young men need this. Because the point you pointed out is very critical in the sense that even the older man now is not realizing how much he's destroying the next generation. Because he is now taking advantage of the fact that he has achieved. And the younger man is still trying to find his place, still trying to discover himself. And at the end of the day, he is coming down to the people that this younger man is supposed to be. Okay, let's just say dating or something. And he's saying, you know what, young man, sit down. Relax. I've made it. You need to work. You need to go to school. And then you can start doing what I'm doing. Fine, the issue is not only about saying relationships and things like that, but it creates tension because The young man now, even when he looks at his father at home, he's thinking, are you not doing the same thing? Yeah, because my mom is not happy.
Yeah.
So you'll probably find at the end of the day, if there is tension between the father and the mother, now the son is also looking at the dad and saying, you know what, I'm facing these things with men your age. You're probably doing the same thing. That's why my mother is not happy. Yeah. So there's tension in the whole family system. Now, it will come to a point where if this same man, this older man, gets messed up by these young girls, he comes back home.
Yes.
He wants the same family to take care of him. You understand? And now when he wants to do that, now the woman, so it's not only about women at times. It's also the men who are not being responsible. You understand? So now she's got the responsibility of taking care of him, yet he was having his good time where he was. So now look at this young man. He does not have a good example to follow through. So we are killing the future from the home. Remember the old saying, charity begins at home.
Yes.
But we are killing the development and the growth of the next generation right at home. So when the young man is looking at the person who's supposed to be a good example, there's nothing to look at. The father doesn't even have time to sit down with the son
and say, my son,
this is how things work.
This is how, I really love the Jewish system of doing things. I've been studying the Jews.
Right.
And in their tradition, it is always the responsibility of the father to teach his children how to earn a living.
Okay.
And if a father fails to do so, they regard it as if the father has taught his children how to be thieves. So most of what they know, patriarchy, is responsible of teaching the children. Men are taught how to be men in society, how to earn a living. They are taught about money at any age. They are taught about a lot of things. And I see that in the Shona culture, where I think men would sit down with Adari.
Right.
Dari varumo dzotsvanya vafana varipo vanhu vakuru vachitaura tikudai and young men would have a sense of what was happening. But nowadays with things that how people have sort of moved away. People go to greener pastures, leaving younger men behind, leaving children behind. So even anaseko, because even kudhara zvimwe zvinhu zvanga zvisingagona kutaurwa nababa, sekuru vaipinda kuti apana vakadzi vanodanzo vanoda kadzi vanodanzo. So we had structures.
Right.
But now as the world has become, I want to say isolated. I don't want to say isolated, but the sense is that people have the family. Those structures have disintegrated because of the need to chase other economic, ventures, or people moving to the diaspora, or families not living together anymore. So you find good structures there.
Right. I was just writing some stuff this morning, and I think I'm writing a book right there. So many times we are stuck in a place we are supposed to be passing through.
Okay. What do you mean?
Right. Okay. Going into the Bible, you find it says, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
I'm not staying in the valley. I'm supposed to be walking through. So we are in a generation where we are staying in the valley. We're not walking through the valley. Yes, things can be difficult. Yes, this and that can happen. But people are not taking time to actually learn what can bring change. Or no one is actually opening their eyes to see we need to change. We need to do something about this situation. Otherwise, we are going to be in trouble. The same parent who is ignoring his son or daughter is the same parent who's going to have a problem trying to deal with that son or daughter. They're the same people that are going to spend a lot of money taking them to rehab. So we need to understand that if we're irresponsible, if I'm irresponsible as a man and I'm not looking over my son, just like you gave the Jewish example, right? It means that at the end of the day, I am creating a pattern and actually leaving a legacy that's going to stay in the shadow of the valley of death.
Yeah.
So it means we are creating a generation of death. There's no more life because young men are dying young, young women are dying young. No one is actually, we have a few success stories of, maybe families that have understood this concept and have understood the importance of actually raising kids. Now we're not raising kids.
They grow.
We live with kids.
We live with kids.
We live with the kids.
Yeah.
We don't raise the kids. So the fact that we're literally living with the kids, it means everything is at the same level, right? So by the time he's finished school, hey, ona zvokuita. Chakabas. Hey.
Amen.
Go find something to do. So there's a persistent passing on of the baton. That is gone. So if my dad would be doing something that I'm admiring and say, what, I want to be like my dad, that is lacking. Ask a lot of young men, do a survey right now and say, how many of you want to be like their dad? No. I don't want to be like my dad. A lot of them will say that. So the reason being, we're not leading by example, right? Or the older generation is not leading by example to the younger generation. So at the end of the day, I feel if we're going to walk through this shadow of the valley of death, and we're not going to continually staying in a place we're supposed to pass through, it means we are stagnant. Now, when we are stagnant, we are not productive. When we're stagnant, we have a low self-esteem. When we're stagnant, we cannot discover ourselves because we're not moving. We're in one place.
Yeah.
When we're stagnant, we're going to always blame someone for my problems. But unless we start moving and we start walking through that shadow, then that's when the light is going to appear eventually. So that's what we need to work on, to say, right now, as we are living this life, we are in a shadow. We are in a valley right now. And we have to find a way to bring back the light. Otherwise, we're always going to read about these stories. And this is the responsibility, or not just of men, but of both men and women. Because men have to play their role, women have to play their role.
Yes.
Everyone has to play their role to make sure that everything comes back together. And people, because right now someone can get married, but they don't even know what to do next. They probably think being in a marriage is about having someone that loves you, and then you do this and that, and that's
the birds and the bees.
Yes. So there's no one who's sitting down with them and saying, you know what, marriage is like this. They think marriage, when I'm married, I've achieved. No, you're just starting. Yeah, as you're married, this is now the beginning. You now need to know how to deal with marriage. So within 2 weeks, some people are having a beautiful wedding. You see it on social media, beautiful wedding, lights, camera, action. 2 weeks, they don't want to have the house. They're done. What I'm saying is actually happening.
Crazy.
Marriage is lasting just 2 weeks.
Have you?
Huh? So
what happened in those 2 weeks?
Now you're really thinking, was everything on fast forward? Because you find the person is now realizing, you know what, I made a mistake. I probably didn't know this person. No one advised them. Or rather, they don't want to take the advice because the person who wants to give the advice has their own issues. So if we have a few good men, so let me say that, a few good men and a few good women.
That could be another.
Yeah. that actually could be. If we actually have a few good people, who some young people can say, you know what, I look up to them.
Yeah.
Then we can have a generation that has got, I don't know if I can call it a system or a pathway to emulate, to actually say, you know what, I want to be like this. I was talking about recently duplication. The main topic was actually spirit of duplication.
Okay.
So you find if you, our currency is the Zig, right?
Yes.
So if you take the Zig, a 20 Zig note, right? You're going to find that it's got features on it. So people who want to duplicate that particular note who find ways of getting the color right, getting this and that. But there's one feature they can never duplicate. That's the watermark.
Yeah.
So it's because the watermark, for some reason, seems like it's inside or what. If you actually need to see it, you actually have to go like this.
Yeah.
So what's happening is this current generation is a watermark. You will never know how to get a watermark unless you have the machinery.
Yes.
So we've got a generation of duplication and not original states.
Okay.
So we are no more in the original state. It's now just a duplication. So the fact that it's not the real thing, eventually you will be discovered.
You're fake.
You're fake. So in 2 weeks' time, because this young man is a duplication, this young woman is a duplication. So in 2 weeks, 2 people that are duplicated, we'll start realizing, you know what, there wasn't anything real here.
It was fake.
It was all fake. So there are very few real people in this generation right now. Yeah.
All right. So I have a question. For a young man who is opening up to these things that you were saying, they are duplicates and they are originals. How can one identify a role model that's original in terms of values, character? Because you know what, the role models that we look up to nowadays are the ones that show us the lavish life. We don't see the behind the scenes. We just see the social media life, the socialites, and we follow those people and say, this one is my role model. But in terms of values, integrity, we don't have. So how can one identify the original in terms of role models?
I didn't want to think at the top of my head. I would say, I don't know. You know why I'm saying that? Things have become so bad that we think making money, showing off cars, houses, women, or even women are showing off men now. You know, we think that's success. So every young person that wants to then eventually be successful, they think, I want to make money so I can do that. So to really think and say, you can actually look around and say, okay, this is how you can identify someone that can help you. It's difficult. It's very difficult. That's why you probably found when I first shared my story, I didn't bring anyone's name into that. I said it was grace. Because I didn't need a person to get help first. I needed God first. I think the principle, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. Everything else shall be added unto you. So things are added because I've found out who the source is. So I'm not going to say that there are people that are good enough to actually be a good example. But I'll say there's a God that is good enough.
This is good enough.
You know, so the fact that He's God, I believe He's the one who can direct me now to the right person. If I look with my own eyes, I'm just going to see things that appear as if they're good. But if I hear the real story behind that person, I will not want to see them again. That's the real truth. If I hear how they handle their wife, if I hear how they handle their husband, I will not want to associate with them again. But face value, seeing them in public at events, they're like, wow. No, please can I have your number? I need you to mentor me. But you don't know anything about that person. So, to be honest, I feel the safest thing to do now, seek a higher power. Get your advice from the right source, because you have first understood who can give you that source. Right? He's the way, the truth, and the life. So if I need truth, I should go to the truth.
Who can I then associate with? And you tell me.
So I'm not going to lie to say there's 8 principles of finding the right person to us. No.
These are the 8 principles.
I'm going to run away from that. I think what I've said is safe enough.
I like it. I like it. So, do you have any closing remarks? By the way, you are supposed to share your 3 ideas of greatness. So, So I don't know if you want to do you have final remarks or you just want to get into those 3 ideas?
Oh, let me see. I was saying I was writing a book this morning. I believe this show really inspired a lot of things for me. And there are a few things that I learned today.
Please, can you, in the credits, you just say... shout out to the...
I have to make sure I do that. There is always a reason why, people get to meet and to do certain things together. I always believe if you pay attention clearly, or you realize when I was with this person, something was given birth.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and we're discussing about something that's really adding value to other people and probably will help someone and change someone's life. So yeah, okay, maybe let me say number 1, molded and stale.
What?
Molded.
Yeah,
and stale.
All right.
Yeah, well, molds and stale, yeah. So
all right.
you find if you buy bread and you don't actually consume the bread, you just put it in the bread bin and leave it there. Molds are going to start appearing.
Yeah.
And it's going to get stale. So we are in a generation where a lot of things are now molded and stale because we are not paying attention to the critical things.
Okay.
So by the fact that we're just placing them aside and just say, no, we need to make money. Yeah. The 8 principles of being a millionaire. Go on social media, that's all you're learning about. But I now know how to make money. But I have issues here. There are molds in my brain. There's something is stale that needs to be freshened up. So we need to, number 1, realize that we need to pay attention to the critical issues so that we freshen up this generation.
No.
Yeah, that's how I can put it across. Yeah. So by so doing, you are removing the molds and the stale things in the society. Yeah, I feel that's number 1. Then there's something I learned this morning. We call it the 888 principle. Okay, now. Or the 8+8+8 principle. So I really loved it. I felt it was something that's practical and straightforward. So in 24 hours, you can split them into 8 hours.
Okay.
Right? So it's the 8+8+8 principle, if you can put it like that. So you've got 8 hours of sleep.
Okay.
Right? Then you've got 8 hours of working hard. Then the last 8 hours, they are split into 3 Fs.
Okay.
So it's 3 Fs, 3 Hs, and 3 S.
All right.
Right. I wasn't going to put that. So when you look at the F, it's family, friends,
okay,
and fun.
Okay.
Yeah. So everybody needs to have a bit of fun. But if we can even substitute fun, we can put faith.
Okay.
Yeah. So those 3 are an essential in your day. To make sure that you've got friends around you. To make sure that your faith, you're believing in something. To make sure that you have family around you.
At any point in the day.
At any point in the day.
You need to
make
8 hours to the 3 Fs.
Yes.
Okay.
You need
family?
You need to put it in the 8 hours.
All right.
To family, yes.
All right. Family, friends, fun or /faith.
Or faith.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Then the second, which is the 3 Hs, there's health.
Okay.
Right? There's hygiene. And there's finally hobbies. I think we mentioned hobbies at the end of the day. Yeah. So if I'm taking care of my health, right, it means there's self-care, which a lot of men are not doing.
I saw a video here. This influencer was saying he was reading out a letter. Presumably that was written by women. He was like a spokesman on behalf of women. But man, you're not bathing, you're not brushing your teeth, you are what you are smoking. Can you please bath before you?
I think exactly. Very true. Yeah. So health, watch your physique, exercise, hygiene, like you said, self-care. Hobbies, do something active. Go out with the other guys. I think, hey man, we have to come out of the box. We're so much boxed into just thinking about making money. It's good, but you need time to freshen up. It's very important to just have time for
your mental state.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very important, because if your mind is consistently thinking about taking care of them, making this, doing this, and putting this together, and even your creative space is also going to become small. Yeah, because you're not giving yourself room to actually, deal with this, let loose, and deal with the next thing. Yeah. So it's very important to make sure that you.
So like hobbies are sort of a way of recharging.
Exactly.
All right. Wow.
Exactly.
For the battle you've won or you've failed, whatever.
Right.
But you also need time to recharge.
That's very true.
Okay.
Then we go to the 3S, right? So it's the soul, the service, and the smile.
Yeah, you had to go there.
Yeah, I had to go there. So when we talk about the soul, there are things that we need deeper in the things that we need to deal with. Let's not ignore those red flags. Yeah, if you know the things you need to deal with them.
On the inside.
Okay. It's very critical because a lot of us, we just try to be firm and try to continue through the day, but without actually having to deal with certain things. So everything is still hanging in your mind that needs to be dealt with. Please do deal with it. It's a red flag. It's going to eventually overpower you at some point because it's growing.
Yeah.
It becomes what can I say? Some sort of a virus inside your system where if you just let it loose, it continues spreading around, and by the end of the day, you can't deal with it anymore. Yeah. So there's also the aspect we spoke about of service. That's one thing that's lacking, as we're pointing out, that we need to give service to others.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to be available, to be, or if we can call it servanthood, if we like, where I'm understanding there are critical things that are happening in today's age. There are things that need to be dealt with, things that need to be changed. Young people that need me as a man to say, I need to speak into their lives and so forth. So that service is very important. And then finally, the smile. You need to smile.
Yeah.
Find something that makes you smile at least. If okay, I wish it has to be at home at least at some point. Then also, if it's things that you can do that can make you smile, or things you can watch, or things you can read, or I don't know, whatever it is, but every day you need to spend some time smiling. Yeah, and it's good for the heart.
Within the 8 hours, so you should also have time for service, smile, and what was the other?
It's service, smile, and soul.
Soul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Divided in the second
in those 8 hours.
In the second 8 hours.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Then the third 8 hours, 3 H's. It's health.
It's health. It's hygiene, and it's hobbies.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Yeah. So these the 3, the F, the H, and the S, these are all in the 8 hours. Then the other 8 hours it's the sleep. Then the other 8 hours is the hard work.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So now splitting those 3 into 8 hours.
Okay.
So that's it seems like it's so compressed and stuff, but this is now when you're spending your day with being productive. You're not necessarily just idle, because being idle and stagnant, as I pointed out, you become someone who's not fruitful. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you become someone very unproductive and someone who thinks about the wrong things. So eventually, suicide and what have you, mental health and so forth. So keep yourself in motion. Don't stay stagnant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the closing remarks or 3 ideas? Would you make those the 3 ideas, or that's the closing remark?
Closing remarks, I would call those the 3 ideas.
Those are the 3 ideas. All right, closing remarks.
Closing remarks. Thank you, man.
It was a pleasure having you.
I really had a great time, and I wish you all the best in terms of your podcast. You're doing great work, and to everybody who's watching or listening, I would just like to encourage the men, because I think that was the main thing we're talking about today's men. To just say, don't throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Keep pushing, keep going for it. You've got what it takes inside of you, but it takes you also getting the time to discover yourself, so that you actually know what you're capable of. Because at times we're living our lives not even knowing what capacity we have, because we've never actually discovered ourselves.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Very close. I just thought about this.
Okay.
Some men feel. What would you say about the struggles that men go through? Is it a good thing to go through struggles or not? Some men feel. Some other people feel like life should be easy. Some men feel like life should be easy. Some men have acknowledged that this is the life of a man, and struggles are important in terms of my manhood. So
right.
What's your?
Life should never be easy. The most rare, what do you call them? what's the word for things like gold, diamonds,
minerals, precious.
Okay, let's just say minerals for now, for the sake of continuity. You find they go through a process of refinement.
Yeah.
But it's not an easy one. Yeah, for you to find the actual ingredient, to say this is now pure gold or this is now a diamond. So it's the same with men or with people, basically, to say, we can't expect life to be easy. We can't expect it to be a walk in the park. Even if your dad is a successful person, don't expect him to do everything for you. You need to find your own path. You need to know that I have my story. So it's about me building my own legacy and saying, you know what, I have my story. I've walked this walk. And even as parents, please, let's avoid getting to a point where we spoon feed kids to the extent of them being so reliant on you and thinking that everything has to be done for them by you. And when you don't do it, that entitlement creates tension between you now, and we then create that system of having people that are staying in the shadow of the valley of death. So we want life, we want light. So I think that's what I can say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you have it. I think it's a wrap. I just appreciate you coming on the podcast. It means a lot.
No, thank you.
And for the viewers, I hope that you get one or two things that you can apply to your life. I feel that we have done a bit of justice. Yeah. If you feel that there's something that we left and we could do a second session, please. We want a second session. Just write in the comments and give us your feedback and let us know what you think about this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Somebody will get blessed by you sharing this podcast, and it also helps us to grow as a podcast. So from me and the man with the $1 million smile.
Cheers. Thanks, man.
We hope that you have been blessed by this episode of the Greatness Factor podcast. If you wish to get in touch with Tinashe, you may visit our website at www.tinashecmudanda.com or email us at tinashe@tinashecmudanda.com. Till next time, stay blessed.